Alright, let's look at the Unitree G1. This is one I've seen everywhere, frankly. They've really been pushing these out in a good way, right? So what makes this one hard to rate is they push so many out that they're all so different now. But the overall model is still pretty much the same. For design, they keep it simple, and simple is good when you're trying to push something out, but not for design, right? I would have to give it a 7.4 out of 10 for design. Just because they don't really do anything special, and the head really is kind of hard to look at, right? And you can watch videos like these for days. There's so many of them out there because it's really the first one that's been pushed out, right? So you can really see this one doing pretty much anything right now. Hey, Unitree sort of falls under making the biggest, baddest robot problem, where rather than just sort of making these usable for everyday people, they're just sort of making them, they're using them for show pretty much, right? Like they have this whole thing going to show how cool it is, and it is, right? But when am I gonna ever do this, right? I'm never gonna need to do this. Maybe if some businesses would, but this is just unbelievable. And they're putting this because I'm gonna hit them hard on security, all right? And they already know that. So Unitree got hacked, right? And you can't have that when it comes to robots. So yeah, Unitree got hacked, and basically one robot was able to hack others and control all of them. And when you have stuff like this, when there's whole swarms, that's a big problem, right? And this one's really terrible. I'm sorry. I try to give them all fair ratings, but that face is terrible, right? Why would they give it that? It's great seeing Joe Rogan get involved with this stuff. Solid flick. And these ones are fully controlled. I haven't seen them, well, I've seen them do things, I've seen them copy and do things on their own, and they're definitely getting better, but from what I've seen, they're fully remote controlled for the most part. Like if you bought one of these, it would be fully remote controlled, unless you like did some stuff to it on your own. Alright. So yeah, the G1, you really see it doing a lot because they really pushed it out early. So for use cases, I'm gonna have to give it a 9.8 out of 10. I can't really go lower because, I mean, I've really seen it do everything I've expected, right? Or everything you would expect a robot to be able to do. We've already seen the Unitree G1 do that, right? Because they've gotten into so many people's hands that they've just sort of created this whole development on it. So now it's just extremely well polished, right? So for security, I usually go 10 out of 10 when there's no incidents, but when there is an incident, I feel like I should really peg them for it. So for security, Unitree will be getting a 3.9 out of 10 for security. And I know, that seems harsh, but when you have a security incident, I'm gonna peg you for it, right? All the other ones don't have issues like this. But it is important to keep in mind that since they've had this incident, they can grow from it, right? The other ones that haven't pushed this out haven't been stress tested sort of as much as these ones have, right? So this one got hacked, right? But the other ones, no one's even tried to hack them really yet. So keep that in mind. Like, yeah, this one got hacked and I gave it a low rating, but it will probably be better in the future for security than the ones who never even got tested in the first place, right? So, yeah, tough I had to peg it, but I have to, right? So, overall, we'll be giving the Unitree G1 an 8.4 out of 10. I think the security incident doesn't define it. It's been doing really incredible things that sort of outweigh that one security issue that they had. But security is very important when it comes to these things, and people would be using them, right? If I have one of these and I'm using it for my business or I'm using it in my house, I wouldn't want in a million years for these things to sort of get hacked, right? That would be a huge issue. So you really can't just sort of rely on that. You know what I'm saying? If they have one, it's something that really needs to be taken into consideration, right? It's not like your computer, right, where it got hacked, but it doesn't affect me, physically. This could physically affect you if it got hacked, right? Someone in another country, if it hacks it, they could just control it, right? And that's what happened when it got hacked. So that is something that needs to be on the top of the bar chart of important things when it comes to AI. That's at the top, skyrocketed at the top, right? Especially if you're an owner of one of these, you can't just sort of hope, oh yeah, I hope it's secure, right? You have to make sure it is. So yeah, I think that was a high rating considering they did have that incident. But they've really pushed it out, and when you push it out, there's going to be problems at first, and they've seemed to have adjusted to them. And a lot of people have been, because I'm looking at all these on Ronomics, right? And basically what Ronomics is Ronomics is a brokerage for these robots, right? So you can see where they come from, who you're buying it from, right? Where they're made, and all these different ones, right? You can sort of compare which ones are good, which ones you don't like, which ones you would not want, which ones you'd want. And you can sort of make choices on there if you want to buy one or not, right? So, yeah, there's an app too, but just look at it if you want to. You don't have to, but that's basically what I've been using. So, I know people have been asking about Ronomics.
Did they glue it to its hand? What is that? It looks like they taped it to its hand, right? What are they doing? So, I don't know what that is, if it's tape or not. I don't want to say anything if it isn't. But why not just have it hold the thing, right? People aren't going to have time to tape it, right? That's important for it to be able to hold something like that, right? That's what I mean. Some of the companies try to really just show you something, a product that doesn't really work. And it undermines all these other companies that are making products that work because people just don't trust it overall, right? Like if they're taping, like this is obviously not being held. If they're doing stuff like this, right, that's just shady. You know what I mean? They could have had this thing do anything, right? Because it looks like it would function, but they just chose to have it do something that doesn't work, right? They have to tape it for it to work. Who's going to tape it to their hand, right? Is this one taped too? No. All right, this one doesn't look taped. See what I mean? Like this one works. It would have been great for them to just show this, doing stuff like this. Showing it do something with it taped, with like the tablet taped to its hand, that's not a good look, right? But yeah, they're showing you how you train it. This looks much better, I will say. They really threw me off in the beginning just by showing it with a tablet taped to its hand, right? Like, people don't have to tape things to their hands to get their hands to work, right? Like, it shouldn't need that for it to function in, like, a warehouse or something. The price is just disgusting. And it's not, look, they can't explain the price, right? Because there's other ones available for a like eighth of the price, you know what I mean? They can't justify it if there's other ones that are cheaper by unbelievable amounts, right? I've seen universities testing these, which is good, but I've never seen, like I know there's one at Syracuse, but I've never seen someone just want to buy it because it's too expensive compared to other options, right? Like Unitree. So the price I'm going to have to factor into this review, really, because that's a major issue for some people. So for security, I'm going to have to give it a 6 out of 10 just because this company showed that by putting tape on its hand for the YouTube video, that they're willing to like be dishonest to you guys over what it can do, right? And if they're willing to do that, who knows what they're willing to do with your personal data, right? So overall, 6 out of 10 for security. For design, I will say they do a good job with the design. I saw some wiring exposed, but for an industrial robot, it's a good looking design, so I'll give it an 8.7 out of 10 for the design. For use cases, as of right now, it didn't look too bad other than the sort of staging for the YouTube video that they had. So I would give them a 7.1 out of 10 for that. But the dishonesty of trying to like tape it and not make people think it can just hold a tablet when it didn't look like they had that working, it rubs you the wrong way, right? So overall, I'm going to give the Dobot Robotics Atom Max a 4.8 out of 10. It would have been probably a few scores higher if just that tape didn't happen. I do have to comment about before clicking on this is that I know some of these are industrial, right? But why do they have to make them look so what's the word? You know what I mean? It's hard to like find a word to describe it. But notice this one. This one looks much better. Just because it looks like something people would actually be able to really like work with, you know? And this looks better, right? Like these look better, these images, but what they're showing in the marketing is just like a really scary looking thing, right?
Very special episode today.
I will admit that does look
operating a humanoid robot for
better
the very
than
first time.
I actually do think it looks
Foundation
better
Future
than
Industries.
the pictures
really
that they
interesting
show
stuff
of it.
coming up in this episode. Stay tuned.
In the increasingly crowded field of humanoid robotics, one of the things that makes Foundation and its Phantom robot stand out is the company's embrace of the defense industry, including perhaps someday even weaponizing this technology. With a lot of questions to ask, we visited Foundation in
It's got to
San
be able to
Francisco
walk
get a
first
hands-on
before it
demo,
can do that,
a chance to
right?
teleoperate the robot ourselves, troll in and of itself.
You know I had to do it.
Yeah, you had to.
There are some use cases where you always want a human in the loop. So defense is a really good example of this. As you move from robots doing back office work, which is inspection, maintenance, repair, and defense.
I don't like their goal for where they're going, where like their whole goal for what they're doing with it. But I like their design, and overall, for an AI robot, it's about what you'd expect, right? It's nothing too crazy, but it has no creativity to it, you know what I mean? Like, what's missing is they really need some design creativity, like Sprout. Or like Neo, right? Like it has a blander look to it, which seems to be what they like. They don't really care about the look too much, it seems. But yeah, like what's the point of making it so bland? You can make it like you can see Apptronik, even Optimus, the Phoenix. Like they all have good like designs that are visually pleasing, right? Like when you're looking at Phantom, it looks like, yeah, it'll do its job, right? But nothing's enticing me to buy it over another one, right? Like when I'd rather have one that looks better, right, and sticks out than one that doesn't, right? So I think it does lack there. But overall for design, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. For use cases, I'm going to have to give them a 6.2 out of 10. Just because their goal, it looks like it can do what it should be able to do, but their goals for what they want it to do, they're not good, right? So, you know what I mean? Like, they want to make this a military robot, which, yeah, maybe some people will do it, but what's the point, right? This can be a cool technology. Like, you don't have to make it not cool by just making, I don't know, military stuff with it. You know what I mean? But I guess someone's going to do it, and I guess Foundation wants to be that company. But if I'm just the average person, I see no reason to agree to align with their same goals, right? I wouldn't want a Phantom to just use for military purposes, right? Why would anyone else? Other than maybe militaries, right? But I'm not a military, so. For design, I'm a little disappointed in the design. It looks good, but it seems rather bland compared to others. So Phantom really is a 6 to 7 robot, right? On one hand, it does its job, but on the other hand, there's nothing special, right? So for Phantom, it seems like they have everything done well, but it's uninspired and it's not made for good reason, right? So, I mean, if you need it for not military purposes, right, it would certainly work, but just Foundation, focusing on that as the goal, I think is not the way it should be done, right? So that's just the way I see it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And, oh, I almost forgot to give the final rating. So for the final rating, I will be giving the Phantom Mach 1 a 6.6 out of 10. So not bad, not great. They can definitely do better, but they could do worse. And I don't know what it is, but most of these robots have terrible names, right? Other than, like, I like some of these. Like Atlas is cool. I like that name. Optimus, Phoenix, Atom. And then you have MagicBot. I don't know. I'm not here to rate the name, but I don't know. Right? So this is one of the earlier ones. I've been seeing this one for a while. I like the way it looks. It looks a little too like they're trying to make it like industrial, right? You get what I'm saying? Like they thought in their head like, oh, let's make the scariest robot we can possibly make. Actually, no. I take that back. This one's not that scary, but they obviously were like, yeah, let's make it like super hot, like intimidating, right? This is an old video too, so I mean, it's doing a good job, right? I don't know why it has a dog, right? I don't think they needed the dog, but yeah. That's pretty innovative, right? I want to see some other stuff on this. All right, so yeah. It's not just able to walk, it can do a lot. It is rather big though. It's pretty tall. So I know that MagicLab, gotta work on the names here, but I know that they have a smaller one, right? And I think they're focusing more on that one, but this one is very impressive. It's just taller, so it's harder to... Their design, I'll give them a 7.4 out of 10 for the design. Because, I mean, it looks fine, but I think they go too far in on the making it look intimidating, right? Like, why? For use cases, I'll give this one a high 9.1 out of 10 for use cases. They show they can walk, can pick things up, right? Can use its hands, right? It's kind of got the complete picture going for it, right? Plus, it's got a pretty decent looking design, right? Like this one's pretty good. For security, yeah, no reason not to believe they're secure. 10 out of 10. All right. So for the MagicBot, they will be getting an 8.5 out of 10. I know you may be like, oh, that's high, that's high. No, it's not. This one clearly does everything correctly that it needs to. And they're obviously making it better by the day. And they have the full picture, right? You don't really see the full picture with too many, other than maybe like Atlas, right? Like you can see it walking, you can see it picking things up, you can see it working autonomously. It's got a good design, right? So it earned that high rating. I do think they lean too far into it, having it look too intimidating, which is why they're making a smaller one, right? And they're focusing more on that, right? Let's do the Oli. I think they changed the name, but I'm not sure. But this one is definitely taller. This one doesn't pull from the G1 due to its taller height, so it can't. Oh, never mind. I think they made it shorter. Did they? Can't tell. I don't think they did. I'll say they didn't. Oh, yeah, no, it does look shorter. No, it doesn't. That's just my brain. Like, this is blowing me away. This is just absolutely blowing me away. And we're only halfway through the video, but like, I'm in awe. I can't believe the stuff that this robot can do already, right? And it's a shame because a lot of people don't see this because they see a bunch of robots that aren't really good. And they kind of miss the top 20 companies that are just making this unbelievable progress. I'm blown away. I'll just say that to start. The fact that they just sort of were able to show it doing so much that I haven't really seen yet, right? And if they have a model that can make it do anything, can do anything, right? So for Oli use cases, this is going to get a 9.8 out of 10. 9.8. Just let that sink in for a little bit. For design, they're going to get a 6.8 out of 10. I hate to do it, but it's too industrial. It's got like something going on here in the middle. It's got some like exposed wiring in the middle. And you can't really have that. It just looks dangerous, right? You need to cover it up a little bit. So for security, this one is based in China. So yeah, 10 out of 10. No reason to not believe it's not secure. Just always make sure you trust the company you're buying it from, right? Because if you're using these and it can do anything, right, that means good and bad. And you have to accept that. So you have to buy it from someone you trust, where you understand what it's capable of doing or what its tendencies are, right? So like with Oli, if I was buying it and I was living in China or like near where they develop, and I bought it straight from the company, I would not have a problem. But if I bought it from, like, say I lived in a different country other than China, and I bought it from a person that's not LimX Dynamics, right? Then I'm going to be a little nervous around the robot, right? Because I don't know who sold it to me. They could have done anything to it, right? So you really can't just trust that, just blindly. It's just not smart. You need to always be thinking of this stuff, especially when it comes to AI, because, right, these things can be useful, but they have to be understood on how they work and like what to look out for, right? Like you wouldn't have us, like, it's just, yeah, you get it. But 10 out of 10 for security. Overall, I'm very blown away. It's a shame that they have all that wiring in the middle and it looks too dangerous. But I'll give them an 8.9 out of 10. Yep. Very earned. Very earned. That video blew me away, right? You see so many companies just trying to hide what they can do rather than just showing it do everything and do it well, right? And that's just refreshing. And that's what I was talking about. You see so many companies just dilute the good stuff. And this is the good stuff, right? This is what you're looking for. This is the innovative stuff. All right, today we're going to be looking at the Keenon Xman R1. I know, it's a whole jumble of words there. But this one sort of specializes in hotels, hospitality, like bartending services. So just keep that in mind when looking at it, that's what you should expect to see from this one. So yeah, let's look at it. Now, they show it with legs, and I think they're working on it with legs, but it looks like they primarily focus on wheels here on this one. Since it's mostly, they do it for hospitality, but they're mostly having it bartend, right? So it doesn't really need legs to do that, right? But unfortunately, take this one, this image. I'm guessing you'll be able to choose if you want it wheeled or with legs, but they seem to focus on it wheeled, so I'm just going to assume it has wheels rather than legs. But yeah.
Hello, I'm Keenon Xman.
That is just a voiceover. And what on earth? So, I don't have problems with the... Actually, I do have problems with the hands. What on earth are those on the hands, right? Everything else looks pretty good, but then they just have all these wiring, right? Like, it doesn't look good. I like the face.
Hi, X.
Only took what? 5 minutes? How long was that actually? Took a minute for it to pour me a drink. I mean, at least they show it, right? Here's what I have to say about the Xman R1. First off, the name needs to be changed. What is the Xman R1? What does that even mean? So, first off, I like that they show everything. It's a little slow, but it works. If they can just speed it up a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Maybe not a little bit, maybe a lot, but it works, right? So if they're speeding this up, I can see this being very practical. If you're behind, if it's behind really, if it's just serving drinks or really doing anything, right? Folding laundry. So this one, I do like the design of it. I'll give them that. For design, I'll give them a 7.2 out of 10. I really like the faceplate that they have going. I just don't like the wheels. I think the wheels sort of, like what happens when there's a ridge on the ground, right? Now what, right? Wheels will work if it's in a small area, right? But if it needs to go anywhere, forget it. For use cases, I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. Not because it's slow. It showed it can actually do a lot, even though it's slow. But because it really needs to have legs to be able to do a lot, right? The wheels, and those aren't the good type of wheels we saw with Aeon in one of the previous videos. These are the bulky ones that really get in the way and aren't really that like useful, right? These ones cause problems, right? So I have to hit them down for that a little bit. For security, I mean, they've already rolled them out without problems, so I'll give them a 10 out of 10. You get a 10 out of 10 until you make a mistake for security. So for overall, I will give the Keenon Xman R1, whole jumble of words, I'll give it a 5.9. No, a 5.9 out of 10. I'm hesitant. I want to give this up in the 6s, but the wheels are really an issue, right? It works until it needs to go anywhere, right? And that's really a big caveat that this thing has, right? It can do anything with the upper body if it's standing still. But the moment you tell it, hey, can you go downstairs? It can't, right? it has to be stuck in one place for it to be useful. And that's going to make it a lot less useful for just having, right? So today we're going to be looking at Apptronik Apollo and reviewing it. So yeah, let's take a look. This one is by Google DeepMind, I've seen. It's by Apptronik, but they're owned by Google. I don't know for sure, but I think they're owned by Google DeepMind. Here we go. I'm really liking the design right off the bat. It does a good job at not looking creepy, but also looking, I don't know. It looks more innocent than creepy, you know what I mean? I don't know why, but they do a good job with that. Because I've seen one that has a similar faceplate design, but it looks very creepy, so I don't know how they pull it off with it looking good. I like the design. I think the legs are a little bulky though. And oh, those are just, that's not actually what it looks like. That's what they want it to look like. So this is what it actually looks like. They're not finished yet.
Okay, it's your turn.
What do you see on the table?
I see some colorful letter tiles on the table.
What do you see on the table? Something that could be found in a
I
deck
see
of
some
cards?
colorful letter tiles on the table. Okay.
Now, could you spell me something that could be found in a deck of cards?
Spell it out. Okay, how about the word ace? I can slide the tiles to spell it out.
Can you pass me some trail mix?
Certainly.
Can you pass me some trail mix?
Trail mix for you.
Hey, can you pack the
Certainly.
orange for me?
I have packed the trail mix for you.
Of course. I am putting the
Hey,
orange
can you pack
in
the orange for me?
Thank you so
Of
much.
course. I am putting the orange in the lunch bag.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, Google DeepMind. It looks like Google has really focused on getting the smaller things right first. You can see that it has trouble walking, right? But then it's really good at sort of taking orders from someone and sort of, oh, put this thing in the bag, put this orange in the bag. Like it's good at reasoning, right? So they're doing the hard stuff first, it would appear. So you got to give them credit for that, even though it's not, it doesn't look like it's really been usable yet. But it looks like they're getting there, right? Because it seemed easier for other companies to get these things to walk, right? And then they really struggle with getting it to do anything, right? Even bigger companies like Tesla have to sort of teleoperate it to have it do anything, right? So for Google DeepMind or Apptronik, they've done a good job with the small stuff. So you got to give credit where credit is due. I will give Apptronik Apollo an 8.2 out of 10 for design. I really like their design. I think they can sort of cut away with kind of the odd looking legs here. But yeah, it's clear they have something going with that. They put a lot of effort into it. For use cases, I will also give them a higher score. I gotta keep in mind though that it can't really walk well yet, but it does the hard stuff, right? So I'll give it a higher score. I'll give it a 7.8 for use cases, which may seem high, but if you know anything about these things, you know how hard it is to get them to do stuff like that, right? Whereas companies are going as far as to fake it even being able to do that, right? With just people with teleoperating it, right? So the fact that they don't need that is very impressive. And for security, 10 out of 10. Really, Google is, I mean, Google's had some security worries in the past, but it's a more reputable company. And it's hard to believe they would allow a product like this to not be as secure as possible with the legal liabilities they would face. So for Apptronik Apollo, you'd have to give them a 9.3 out of 10 for security. And I know Google has always never really, like, with their whole advertising targeting, right? What's to say that they don't have the Apollo, like, take in data and then target you with advertising based on that? But it doesn't, right? Like, Google is a I don't know if they're a trustworthy company, but they're a company that would be held accountable if anything really happened with these. So for security, I mean, it's Google. You're going to trust a Google product. So for the final review, I will be giving Apptronik Apollo a solid 8. No decimals, no decimal places. A big, solid 8 out of 10. I know, a whole number, it's crazy. But I think Apollo deserves it with the things they've been doing and how it can do the hard stuff first, right? Because once you really get there, everyone's already figured out the easy stuff, right? So for Apptronik Apollo, a solid 8 is fair. This is the 4NE General. This is the big one, but they made a smaller one. So we'll do Neura Robotics 4NE Mini. All right. Okay. It's a pretty good design. I don't know. They go for really like again with like the Stormtrooper kind of look. I don't know why. You could make it like you have to make it fit in, you know what I mean? And this feels like if I saw it and it's a part of like day-to-day life, it wouldn't fit in, you know what I mean? But it's not bad looking.
Can you drop me to the record nightclub, please?
What's up? What's up, bro?
I cannot say enough how companies need to do what Unitree did and just push these out, right? Like Unitree, you see the stuff it's doing and you're just like, wow, because they pushed it out early. So everyone's seeing it. Or not everyone's seeing it, but everyone's working on it, right? Let's see it get up. Let's see it. Yeah, there it is. Look, they both just get up, right? And then they can just keep going. But it's because they pushed it out so early that everyone's just working on it, right? That was 5 months ago it could do that. Wonder what it could do now. Oh yeah, but that's not what we're reviewing. We're reviewing this one. I have a sneaky suspicion this one can't do that much. Just because I think that what they're doing is they had this big one they were building, right? And because Unitree pushed one out and everyone worked on that one, now all these companies, they have to make a smaller one now because they want to use the Unitree data, right? They see how it's able to get up, right? So they're all making smaller robots and using the Unitree training data so it can do the same stuff the Unitree robot can do, which is, I mean, it's whatever, but that's just the gist I'm getting from here. That's why they're making a smaller one and promoting that one rather than the bigger one, right? Because they want to have it be able to do all that stuff the Unitree one can do, right? Because that is a big help if other people have already just done all the training for you, right? All right, if that's what they're doing, I mean, for use cases, it would be much more useful if that's what they were doing, right? Because there's already been so many developers working on it, but they just haven't shown it doing anything, right? I think they're just sort of sitting back and letting other people train the Unitree one and taking the open source stuff and using it for theirs, right? But that's just what I think. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the only rational reason I could think of why there would be a smaller one, right? Because why would you be making a bigger one, right? And before you master that one, you just start making a smaller one, right? Doesn't make sense to me. But I like the design. I think it's a little bulky, but I'll give them a 7.2 for the design. For use cases, since it's smaller, and I'm assuming they're doing that stuff with the Unitree one, I was going to go lower just because they haven't shown a lot out. But the thought of that they'd be able to use Unitree data, or not Unitree data, open source data from the Unitree one for theirs, that would make it much more useful, right? So I would say for use cases, I'd give them a 7.5, right? Because it's all the open source stuff the Unitree can do. Or the G1, not, yeah. So that's just what I think, though. I don't really know if they're doing that, but it's the only thing that makes sense to me. So for security, it's Neura Robotics. They're based in Germany, right? Let me just make sure I haven't already reviewed this. I don't think I have, but yeah, I haven't. All right, yeah. They're based in Germany. So for security, I'll give them a 10 out of 10. Nothing they've done wrong. The Fauna Mini, I'm guessing what they're doing, taking open source, closing it, right? And then they're just going to send them all out, right, when they're ready, right? Because they haven't shown any incentive in pushing these out, which they should, because there's a lot of benefits in that. So overall, I'll give the Neura Robotics Fauna Mini a 7.3 out of 10. And I think it does need to show more, but if they're making it so they can use open source data from other companies, that will give them a tremendous advantage, right, in the long run. So, yes, I think that's a justified score. So, UBTECH kind of doesn't work on this one. They more work on this one, the S2. That's the newer one. Its hands are more, its arms are very long. It's really... Oh, it's terrible. I wonder how many dogs this probably took all day. Look how long its arms are. Alright. I will give it to them. They're pushing these ones out, and I respect that. Like, look at all the ones they've made. That's impressive. So for design, it's very tall and its arms are a little long. Like almost too long. Like you can see like when it's got something close to it, its whole arm just like, I don't even know. It just like completely folds. And I mean, that could be useful if you have like high like stuff you need, but yeah. I like the design. It's very intimidating though. I don't know if I would want that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, it's just too intimidating. I'm gonna have to go for a 6.8. It's a good design, but it's too intimidating. It's like, yeah, it looks fine, but is it practical? I think it could be more practical. Between the arms being weirdly long, and yeah, they push it out, right? Like they've already made like so many of these, but they're just huge. For use cases, I'll give them an 8.2 out of 10. It can do a lot, and we've been able to see it do a lot. Just in, yeah, like look, it's able to do all that. It's able to change its own batteries, stuff like that. So, yeah, earn that for use cases. For security, this is another Chinese company. 10 out of 10. Didn't see any security issues looking it up. So overall, I'll give the UBTECH Walker S2 and yeah, this one does not have a good name. I'll give this one, I mean, they're pushing it out, so I'll bump up their score a little bit for that because I respect that. Versus just taking all this time to like perfect it and you never make anything because you're spending all this time making it perfect. It will never be perfect. So that's why you see all these companies like, oh, we just made a new hand, right? Like, oh, but you haven't pushed them out, so it doesn't matter, right? You gotta like make a million, or not a million, but like a bunch. You know what I mean? You gotta make a bunch and get them in people's hands for it to matter, right? And they know that, so they're doing that. So I'll give them a 7.9, higher rating, because I respect that, and more companies need to do that to really sort of get out there. Because Unitree was not the best robot. It wasn't better than Optimus, but they made a bunch and got them in people's hands. So now that's what everyone uses, and it made it better. So I respect that. So I think they earned that score. And that will be all for today. Let me know if you guys enjoyed. And yeah. I'll make more reviews, and let me know what other content you guys want to see in the comments below, because I want to do some more interesting stuff other than just reviews. And I get a little bored just kind of like sitting here, you know? Like I'd go out and like interview people, stuff like that. So if that's what you guys want to see, in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Today we're going to be reviewing the AgiBot A2. Let's get into it. So the first thing I notice at first glance is that this one leans more industrial looking. It looks like it could belong like maybe in an office, but I would not want this in my home. It's too metallic looking, right? But overall, good design. I'm liking the design a lot. It is from China, so if you're a company in the United States, or if you're someone in the United States buying this, that is important to keep in mind, that if you buy this and you have it in your office, it's going to be sending data to another country, right? So, which is always important to keep in mind, right? So I like the expressive face. I think that's always important. If you're telling it to do something, it's harder to tell it to do something if there's nothing there, right? So let's see it work a little bit. All right, so this one, it looks like they've made a lot. It doesn't look like it can do everything it should, right? It's impressive, yes, but until there's really a platform to use these, right, there's no reason to get one. And I'm just going to say that. You don't need to buy this yet, but I would keep an eye on it, right? So it doesn't look useful at all yet. Let me be blunt. Its use cases are obviously more, let me rephrase that. If you need it to do a repetitive task over and over and over again, looks like it could do that perfectly fine, right? But I just, for the price, can't justify someone buying it yet. If the price goes down, then we'll talk, all right? The price of this one, they're starting to make more of these, right? But the price is really not justifiable to buy it yet, unless you want like an advantage. The price, it's not justifiable yet, but
good morning.
Hello.
You never know.
This is our exhibition hall's robot.
Is that better?
Would you like a
All
cup
right.
of coffee? Sure.
So for the price, not justifiable for what it is.
No problem.
It's really cool, but the price is just not it. So for use cases, for the price, I'm not going to include that, but for use cases, I'll give it a 7.6 out of 10. For design, I'm going to give it an 8.1 out of 10. And for security, if you're in the US, it's probably like a 2 out of 10. If you live in China, it's probably a 10 out of 10. So, or not just those two countries, just if you live anywhere but China, it's just always important to make sure that if you're using one of these, possibly, that you're not buying one from someone you don't trust, right? Because think of it, if you have one of these doing something important, someone else like sold it, some shady person sold it to you, you don't know what it could do, right? So yeah, always important to buy it from trusted seller. So overall, we'll give the AgiBot A2 a 7.8 out of 10, which I think is very justified based on the design, how it overall looks good. If the price was lower, extremely lower, like other companies have been able to do, like Unitree, they would get a much higher score. But you can't justify a worse price for a worse product, right? So they're going to have to get that price way down, right? So if you enjoyed watching, make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, I saw something on this today. So let's review the Pudu D9. This is an old video. This is a very industrial looking one. They have a photo of it like in a grocery store, but just look at how badly it sticks out, right? Like, it would be useful, yeah, but it just is such an eyesore to like look at. That was it. All right, let's watch the main trailer. This is an old trailer, though. All right. They're giving me a hard time. They've really given me nothing since this. I'd love to give them a higher rating because I like their design, even though it's kind of industrial. If they get rid of a bunch of the like unnecessary stuff that's sticking out, it's really good design. I'd give it a 7.6. For use cases, again, they show that it's able to walk, and this was a year ago, probably more, keep that in mind. So if they've continued working on it, right, there's no reason to not believe that it's not able to do all that stuff but better. So they haven't showed it though, so I can't really assume that. So for use cases, I'll give it a 6.8 out of 10, just because it looked a little slow walking, and it really needs to be useful, right, for people to use it. So if it's too slow or it needs to be fixed more than it helps, then it's just not gonna be useful. So for security, Pudu Robotics is in China. So if you're buying it, keep that in mind. I'll give them a 10 out of 10. Researched and didn't see any security issues, so they get a 10 out of 10. So overall, I'll give the Pudu D9 a they're gonna get a 7.1 out of 10. Just because I really need to see more from them, right? Haven't seen enough. All right, let's rate this one. All right, so I like the design. They have some wires sticking out, so I'll have to peg them for that. But overall, not bad. I'll give them a 7 for the design, solid 7. For use cases, I mean, I'm assuming they're using open source data from the Unitree G1 because of its height and how it's sort of similarly modeled. So I need to stop saying that though, because I don't know if they are or not, but that's just what it looks like to me with all these robots who are the same height, right? So I mean, if it's doing that, it'll be useful, right? If they're using all that open source stuff. So use cases, I'll give it a, and it looks pretty good, I do have to say. I'll give it a 7.2, right? Just because they kind of edited the trailers, and the best companies, they don't need to edit them, right? They just show all the mistakes they're doing, right? Because people understand that these things will make mistakes, but it needs to be able to recover from them, right? If it's just showing a trailer where it's doing everything perfect, it's like, that's not believable, right? Like when these things make a mistake, it needs to be able to get up, recover, or like fix itself, right? Which is what it needs to be able to do. And if it's not being honest with itself and trying to show it like it's never going to make a mistake, right? Then that's just not honest, right? But I don't know. That's just what I was kind of getting from it a little bit. For security, based in Vietnam, 10 out of 10. No reason to believe they're not secure. But just always remember, if you're buying one of these from a different country, always remember that it came from wherever, right? If you bought one of these from your local store, like a local store or like a company you trust, it's probably better security-wise, right? Than if you bought it from somewhere overseas or somewhere far away from a person you don't trust, right? So always keep who you are buying it from in mind. That's why on Ronomics, you can see the profile of everyone. You can see what they have up and everything, right? Because you need to know who you're buying from with these, right? All right, overall, they will be getting, where are they? I lose them? Here we go. Overall, they'll be getting a solid, not a solid, I'll put a decimal in there. They'll be getting a 7.1 out of 10. Just because we need to see more, but it's definitely got stuff to it, substance, what you need, right? When it comes to a general purpose robot. Let's go review Lumos, all right? Oh yeah, and also, new Ronomics merch, all right? Check it out. First drop, right? You'll be seeing some interesting stuff from there in the future. So Lumos, the Lust 2 by Lumos Robotics. This one looks similar to the Unitree G1, where it's kind of got that face thing going on for it. They have a camera, and I think it uses LiDAR. So it's like the same thing as those like autonomous cars that are getting rolled out. But yeah, I haven't seen much from this one, to be honest. So like, is this all they have? This is the only video they have. They don't have it doing anything useful. So as for now, I might come back to it later if they improve it. But for use cases, we're going to give this a... I mean, they have the design right. which will help its use cases, right? Like if they mess up the design, then it's going to always be terrible at doing things, but they have it right, so I'll give them that. I'll give them a 6.2 for use cases, just because they obviously have a plan that's not doing anything. And for design, I'll give it an 8.2 out of 10. It's good design. For security, I don't know. I like giving 10 out of 10s for security, unless like you've done anything wrong. But I don't really know anything about Lumos, right? I know they're based in China, and yeah, I don't really know anything about Lumos. All right, yeah. So it looks like an open source one. So I'll give them a 10 out of 10. Unitree, they struggled with security, but I also didn't take into the fact that they were open source. So it's kind of like, well, for open source with a robot, it can have security issues, but you can fix them yourself. But most people aren't going to want to do that. So I don't know. I'll give them a 10 out of 10 just because there's really been no reason otherwise. Plus, open source, other people can improve it. But, like, I'm not, if I get one of these, the last thing I'm going to want to do is, like, take my time to, like, fix it from doing things. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I'll give them a 10 out of 10 for that. But overall, I can't go too high on this one. They really just don't have much out. I'll give it a 6.2 out of 10. I think that's a little high, frankly. Just because they have everything there, but nothing quite to show for it. You know what I mean? I like the design, though. The design keeps it high.
So, this is Sprout, all right? And I wanted to sort of show my different opinions on what I think of Sprout versus other ones that really don't sort of show how like these things need to be more gentle and careful in the way they're made, that they're not gonna hurt anyone, right? Like, this is never hurting anyone. But then you have something like these, which could obviously hurt someone, right? So when you have something like Sprout, it really is nice to just sort of be around something like this that could help you out, or just be fun to have, right? And it's just not ever gonna really do anything, right? Dangerous.
At Fauna Robotics, we believe robots belong in the real world. So we've done things a little differently. Sprout is a robot.
And this is really unreal. Like,
one that's expressive,
just seeing stuff like this,
lightweight,
it really makes you wonder, like,
durable,
how on earth is this gonna work? You know what I'm saying? Like, if we have stuff like this that can just sort of do work, like, I know we already have AI, but like, if we have robots that can do physical work, I'm very curious to see how that will work at all.
Start from scratch, so you can focus on what excites you and trust the rest to just work. Perception, navigation, and movement right out of the box. Built by our team.
Yeah, no, like, it's not like doing anything crazy, right? Like, this seems more like something that would be fun to have, which honestly, I can't really blame them at the end of the day, because I'd much rather have something that's fun to have, and I don't feel nervous around it, like it's gonna be watching me or anything, than like anything else, right? So Sprout really is the first one I've seen to really understand that. Right? Maybe Neo, like, kind of, but all of them sort of get stuck in the, like, let's make this super dangerous looking thing that no one would ever want to buy. Or not no one would ever want to buy, but, like, no one would ever feel safe around, right? While you want, like, actually no, this one's like this, similar to Sprout, the X2, where it doesn't really look like it can do anything. But then you have some really big ones that, like this one. I reviewed this recently, and I try to give them all fair reviews, but it's just not smart to have those where they could hurt someone, right? And if they're really big, then, right, you're risking that. You know what I'm saying? So let's rate Sprout. I really like the design for Sprout. I'll start with that. I'm usually not a stickler. Like, some reviewers, they like it to be a certain way every time, but I like it when people take their creative liberty, right? Like, I'm not gonna force people to make it a certain way, right? Because then just if you're doing that, right, you're sort of demotivating them from making new, cooler things, right? Because then they're just going to make the same thing every time. So I'm not judging Sprout based on, like, height, how it looks. I'm just judging it overall, what I think of it. So I'm going to give it overall. Sprout's going to get a 9.2 out of 10. And I know a lot of people may be like, wow, that's really high. What was that for? It's because they don't fall for the trick of let's make the biggest, baddest robot ever. And they just make it something that people would actually want and feel comfortable around, right? Like, look at how, like, all of these are trying to be like the biggest, baddest, like, thing. Right? But you don't need that, right? Like, it's not like it's not a positive thing to just have that. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at how much Sprout really stands out from all these other ones, which are just really, like, falling up for the same trick of just being the same rehash of being trying to be the biggest robot, right? So that's a fair rating in my book. For use cases, I gotta be honest, Sprout's pretty short. But I mean, if you're comfortable around it, there's no reason it wouldn't be more useful to you than if you don't even want to use it, right? So if Sprout is able to sort of help out, which it looks like it is, there's no reason to think it wouldn't be very useful. Can't read that. But for use cases, I'll give it an 8.2 out of 10. Mostly because Sprout is one that you would be fine talking to, right? Not like talking to, but like giving orders. Like, you would tell it to do something and you wouldn't think twice about it. Whereas if you have this thing, this massive thing, this thing's like 6 foot what? I don't know. And you're just like, yo, go do this thing for me. You're not gonna feel like, I don't know, but it's not gonna feel as easy to just sort of tell it what to do, or you're not gonna feel as comfortable to just tell it what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I think Sprout does a good job in really understanding what people actually want, right? When it comes to AI, robotics, right? Because here's the thing, AI is going to change the robotics industry a lot. Before it was just kind of, you had it doing the same thing over and over again, right? But now with AI, robotics is going to become this massive industry. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't, or before they couldn't have it just do anything. They had to make like a specialized one that would just sort of help out in factories. But now, since AI is so generalized now and it can do a lot, it's going to make robotics be able to do anything, right? And if you have it able to sort of traverse the world, kind of like Sprout, then Sprout could just help out with anything, just give it an order. Similar to sort of any of those other AI models that you just use online, right? So, for security, Fauna Robotics is based in New York. So if you live in the US, it's local to you. And yeah, 10 out of 10 for security. No reason to believe they're not secure. They're a United States-based company, so your data would be going into New York probably. And yeah, I'm not someone who would be too scared of this thing, right? Like, there's been a lot of talk of like AI and robotics, but there's been no way to sort of apply it in a usable way in the real world, right? I know we see a ton of videos of like Unitree, and so far it's only been like for entertainment, where like they have the boxing each other, stuff like that. But Sprout, I think, could be the first one that's applicable to the real world, because they really focus on a design that people would be comfortable around, right? So overall, Sprout is going to be getting a 9.1 out of 10. They clearly understand what they're doing. They know that when it comes to AI and robotics, you make it something people would be comfortable with using. And that's something that most people, or not most people, but like a lot of people making these robots don't understand, and they try to make the biggest, baddest thing possible, right? But what's the point? No one will use it, right? Sprout is perfect because it's a robot that people would want to use, right? Like if you had that around you, you can just say, yo, Sprout, go do this. It's got a good name too. A lot of them don't have good names. Sprout is a really good name for a robot. Just, yo, Sprout, do this, do that, right? That's easier than saying, let's look at these other names. Like, yo, Walker S2, go do that. Or, yo, R1, do that. Like, it's not, like, you need a good name, and they have a good name. So, deserved score. Extremely high, but deserved.
RobotEra L7. This is another one that needs a better name, right? So it looks like this one also uses the same LiDAR. I like the design. I'll just rate their design right away. I'll give this a 8.1 out of 10. They'll get it in the 8s. This is what I wanted to see. Finally. Finally. Oh my god. I was used that so much. That little snippet of it folding closed was the most important part in that whole video. Oh my gosh. It's what we want to see. All right, for use cases, I'll give it an 8.6 out of 10 after seeing that. For design, oh, we already rated design. For security, this one's based in China. Is it? Or is that Korea? Oh yeah, it's in China. And overall, I'll be giving the RobotEra L7 it's gonna get an 8, a solid 8. It earned it. It knows what people will use this for. It's not making things that aren't useful, right? It knows that yeah, factories will use this too, but people are gonna want this to fold their laundry, like forget everything else. That's what we want to see. So it earned that 8. All right. All right. So I'm really liking the design of this. They really go for a clean, sort of slicker, simpler look. They sort of keep some of the older designs features. As you can see, the face looks pretty the same, but they sort of go for a more simpler, sleeker, slimmer look. So it looks pretty good. I would say the first thing that sticks out to me is that they do a good job with concealing everything, right? So it's not too like crunched in, but they really do a good job at hiding all the wires, right? So this company has done a much better job than some of the other companies that sort of focus half on the robot, half on other things that they have to do. Figure its whole purpose as a company is to make stuff like this. So you can tell that they really put 100% of their attention into design, quality, and useful use cases, right? So it definitely sticks out from others. One thing Figure doesn't shy away from is showing it doing actual useful things rather than having it do a short clip of cool party tricks or like a CGI animated trailer. They really focus on what people would use these things for. Like they have it cleaning off a desk or a countertop, right? Things that, come on, like everyone would need something like this and it's in their day-to-day life, right? One thing that is worth mentioning, that although Figure remains transparent with showing what it can or can't do and having it do useful things, they really haven't gotten it in the hands of anyone else other than Figure, right? They haven't released it yet, but they seem to be transparent with everyone with what they're doing, but they haven't really gotten it into any third parties' hands like some other companies have done. And we've seen how, like, for example, Unitree, they mass produced a bunch and then they got them in the hands of colleges, universities, and that just made a whole platform for those Unitree robots to kind of expand and get better at a ton of things when you have all those smart people working on it, right? So Figure is more closed, but it seems like they do a really good job with what they're doing. They really know where it will be useful and what people would use something like this for, right? Do you see how small that is? You can really tell that they really worked hard on the small things. Just being able to get that right. You can see how it sort of angles its hand. Look at that. That's pretty impressive to do that. All right, so that gives you a good idea at how advanced this model really is. They really do a good job with the small things. For use cases, I can't give it this anything but a 10 out of 10. They really have gone above and beyond with doing the small things first that people will be doing really in their day-to-day lives. Folding laundry, doing the dishes, cleaning a countertop, carrying packages, right? This thing can do it all, right? They've prioritized the useful things first before really going to the big, fun, awesome looking stuff. Because at the end of the day, getting it to like pick up something small and like put it in a small spot is probably harder than having it like run around like a ton of other companies show their robots doing. So Figure AI, very impressive stuff from them. Working as a desk clerk, right? All right. So for use cases, it got a 10 out of 10. For design, I'd give it a 8.7 out of 10.
They've obviously put a ton of work and effort into making the design look clean. The only criticism I would really have is that they can't really hide this part right here. And that's kind of it. Everything else looks great. And it's always good too to have like something like this a little bit so that you understand that it's a machine, because you don't want really, you want something that looks like a machine more than something that doesn't look like a machine, right? So they do a good job with making it look like that. So I'd give it an 8.7 overall for design. For security, since they really haven't shared it with any other developers, there's no other reason not to give them a 10 out of 10, right? Unitree, although they've shared and it's helped them sort of explode and like having their robots able to do useful things because they have it in all these developers' hands, right? It also sort of messed up their security where everyone's sort of able to mess with these robots, right? So they know how to hack them, things like that. And they've already been hacked, right? But Figure, it's more closed. It seems that's where they're going. So they want to have a closed system where they sort of control it from their end. And that's good for security, right? Having them just sort of making sure everything's not getting hacked, right? So Figure for security. Overall, yep, I'd give them a 10 out of 10. No other reason. So overall for this review, I'm going to give them Figure AI. They're going to get a 9.5 out of 10 for their robot. The only thing is that they've really not been out in the public as much as other companies have with these robots. Like Tesla, even though they teleoperate it and it's not really autonomous, they're not afraid to sort of show it off in public. Same with Boston Dynamics having it go up on stage, and Unitree by distributing it and selling it to all these universities and customers who would want to try something like that out. Figure really hasn't done much like that. I've seen them, like whenever they're posting something, right? It's always from Figure themselves. It's never really from someone else who saw them like doing something, right? So Figure seems very controlled in that way, that they don't want to sort of let it get in the hands of other people yet. In the future, they'll probably be selling it, but as of right now, they seem to really be more secretive about it, you know? They'll be transparent with what they want you to see, right? But how much are you not seeing? You know what I mean? So that's the only thing I'd have to say. They should do more stuff in public and really let people sort of see this awesome invention they've come up with. So yeah, that's all I have for Figure AI. They've done a great job. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.